Hello everybody, and welcome to the very special 100th episode of Getting Lost in Space Engine. As you may notice right off the bat, my voice is incredibly clear. Yes, indeed, I wanted to make this episode special, so that's actually why it took a couple weeks to make, because I had to wait for this to show up. Yes, after 7 years of crappy microphones, I finally invested in a good quality desk mic. So, it only took 7 years of YouTube to get here, but we're here, and that is exciting. So now you can hear my rather dull voice talk about nothing in clear HD. Right then, let's get right off the bat, shall we? Okay. Right then. I have a couple suggestions of place to go. See if I can find this one. There we go. Apparently, it looks like an egg, and I thought I want to check that out. However, primarily for this episode, I'm going to be going to, oh, it does. How about that? I'm going to be going to the solar system and talk about our home star system because I figure it's a special place. We live there. I like it, and it'll be a great place to talk about in our 100th episode. But first off, yes, egg. It's actually less an egg and more of a discus. That's probably because it has a very high rotation rate, so it kind of squishes out. Jupiter actually does this to a far less severe extent. It rotates so fast that it actually bulges around its equator a bit. Actually, most planets do that. Any rotating body does that to some degree. And we can check this out by looking at the information. What is its rotation? Physical. Oh, it doesn't have a day. Here we go. Rotational period. 17 hours. Yeah. So it's going pretty fast. Kind of like how Jupiter has a rotational period of 8 hours, and it's huge. So like one day on Jupiter is 8 hours. That's how fast it's spinning. That's exciting, I tell you what. And, right then, let's go to our next location. That's Control V. Yeah, there we go. Now, there were a couple suggestions of these two planets that look like Eve to go to. I might check them out later, because I don't have any graphics mods on, so they wouldn't look as good. But this is apparently a somewhat Venusian planet out in the middle of nowhere. It's a warm Terra. I wonder where's its location in the system. Let's find out. It's a ways out. Ooh, actually, it is a ways out. All right, cool. But let's look at the information here, shall we? The atmosphere specifically. 97% carbon dioxide, 92.91% sulfur dioxide, nitrogen, water, carbon monoxide, and argon. Oh, and neon and helium. Wonderful. What kind of atmospheric density? Holy crap, yeah. Although, it is far enough away from the star that its temperature is actually reasonable. But if it didn't have this thick atmosphere, it would probably be cold out here. Which makes me wonder, which planet are we on? Yeah, right here. Temperate desert, warm desert, cold ice giant, warm Terra. Yeah, so that makes sense. It's the greenhouse effect. Oop, the greenhouse effect really affects that. And that's actually true for most planets. And when a lot of people talk about a star being, or a planet being habitable, you have to keep in mind the atmosphere is a big role. Like, for example, Proxima b. It's in the habitable zone. Sure, it could have liquid water on its surface, if it has an atmosphere. And even planets way far out from their star can have liquid water on their surface if they have a thick greenhouse atmosphere. So that's actually very important. So, yeah. Anyways, let's go back to Sol. Oh, my allergies are kicking in. Like it's spring. You know, like that weird thing you get where it's like your nose gets stuffy and it makes your soft palate get irritated, and it kind of triggers your gag reflex, so you feel like you're gonna like throw up, but you're not. Yeah, that's me right now. That's pleasant, isn't it? But I'll keep talking and just try to pretend it's not there. All right. Excuse me. Oh, I guess Jupiter makes it Berry Center. Well, let's start in and move out. Let's Magic School Bus the crap out of this. Actually, I haven't watched that episode in so long. Did they go to Mercury? Pretty sure they did. I remember Miss Frizzle got lost in the asteroid belt, and they found her on Jupiter, on Pluto. I'm actually really glad they rebooted Magic School Bus because there really needs to be more educational kids programming out there. Just saying. Anyways, Mercury. Let's see if I can turn that down a bit because that is intense. I'll fiddle with these later. Anyways, yeah, Mercury's pretty cool. I think the Messenger spacecraft gave us our best like map of the surface. It's unusually dense for its size. Like its gravity is actually quite high for its size, and it's mostly made of just, like iron, nickel. It's a big ball of metal, which makes some people think that Mercury is actually the core remnant of a larger planet that was destroyed early on. That's fascinating. I think it's fascinating because it also has a really peculiar magnetic field, but not like a magnetic field that like we have caused by convection. It's probably more due to just it being rich in iron and nickel, so it's basically like a big, dumb, weak metal magnet. Although it could have some internal processes, I don't know. But Mercury is quite fascinating. Needs more attention. The European-Japanese Bepi Colombo mission's on its way out there. That's going to be kind of fun. It was originally going to have a lander that they had to not bring with it, but it's kind of sad because there's never been a landing on Mercury. Moving right along, Earth's twin planet, second from the Sun, and closest to the Earth in terms of orbital, like, position. Well, actually, in terms of, like, orbital radius. Technically, Mercury is actually closest to Earth if you account for orbital periods for most of the time, because Mars and Venus are on other sides of the Sun, so it's kind of weird to think, but yeah, Mercury is technically closer to the Earth than the other planets for most of the year. But Venus, I like Venus. This is a really great planet. One of my favorite planets, as a matter of fact. Gravity is very similar to that of Earth's. In fact, Space Engine here shows us. Oof. Where's its mass? Where's its surface gravity? It's around here somewhere. I'm probably just missing it because I'm dumb. Right. Life biomes. See, we don't know yet. I'll get to that in a minute. Either way, its gravity is physical density, temperature, age. Where is it? Am I just missing it? Or is it not here? You know what? Doesn't matter. Either way, its gravity is very similar to that of Earth's. It's like 98 point something percent that of Earth. So if you were on Venus, you would actually feel no different really than you were on Earth. You might feel I don't even know. The gravity is so similar that you might not even be able to perceive that slight little decrease in gravity. But it's a great planet. Very choking, very hot. The Soviets sent a lot of stuff here. The Venera missions, which my channel is named after, as a matter of fact. Venera 1 through, I think, Venera 17. Or Venera 15. 16? I don't actually remember. There's a lot of them. And there was Vega. And the Russians have been working on something called Venera D for, I don't know, 30 years. Probably not going to get anywhere, which is very sad. However, Pioneer was really cool because it dropped 2 balloons that orbited that floated around in the atmosphere of the planet for a while and gathered information. Really cool stuff. They actually, when they were building them, they were trying to figure out what are we going to coat the balloons in to prevent, like, melting and popping. And they determined non-stick material on pans. What's it called again? Oh crap! It's on the tip of my tongue. It's like a plasticky. It's like a. It's used for non-stick pans. It's a polymer. Either way, they used that and it kept it. It was like acid resistant. It'll come to me later. What is it? It's irritating. It's like N something. I don't know. Either way, Mars. Mars, everyone likes Mars. I like Mars. I like other planets more, but I like Mars. Probably our next colonization target. As you can see, it has its 2 moons. Is that Phobos or Deimos? That is Phobos. I think one of them, Phobos or Deimos, the one that's closer in, is probably going to break up and form a ring. Yeah, Phobos, around Mars in a few million years. So that's kind of cool. Won't be around to see it, but be kind of cool. There's the Valles Marineris here, a big rift right next to the Elysium. Actually, no, this is the Tharsis Planitia, or the Tharsis Plateau, located on near the Tharsis Bulge, which is where the volcanoes are. Can I speed up time? Where's the time button? Simple, Mars. Yes, thank you. Here we go. Yeah. Alright. Now, the Tharsis Bulge is a bumped region on the surface that kind of bulges out. And as you can see, it's also host to the various volcanoes like Olympus Mons and Ares Mons and whatnot. Everyone knows Olympus Mons because it's the biggest one. That's important. So, the Tharsis is really cool. It was actually thought that the Valles Marineris is caused because of this region, because you have all this thick crust causing all this tension that may have caused the crust over here, which is where it's thinner, to rip. Kind of like if you put on a pair of pants that's too tight and it rips on the seams. Kind of what they think might have happened here. Other interesting locations on Mars include Cydonia and Elysium. I like Cydonia personally. That's where the face on Mars is located. Really cool place. The face on Mars is not actually a face. It is a mountain that looks like a face in the correct lighting. That's due to pareidolia, which is a psychological thing, where the human mind is very good at picking out faces. So we will, and picking out, well, like, faces and patterns. You can also get, like, audio versions. Kind of like if you listen to static, you might hear voices. That's your brain. Again, it's pareidolia. Pretty much every single ghost sighting is pareidolia. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. Seeing shapes in clouds, pareidolia. So yeah, the face on Mars, pareidolia, not actually a face on Mars. Oop. The pyramids of Elysium, not pyramids. The city in Cydonia, not a city. The not bones is, as the name suggests, not bones. That's a pile of rocks on Mars. A very interesting one, as a matter of fact. So yeah, Mars is an interesting place. It features in many movies and much literature. I personally like Mission to Mars. Not a lot of people did. The music's good. Or Red Planet with Val Kilmer. It's a weird movie, but I recommend it. It's a weird movie, but it's Val Kilmer. What do you expect? Right then. Let's carry on. Oh sure, let's go to Sirius. Sirius is an exciting little thing. The first asteroid ever discovered, it was actually originally thought to be a planet. And it was labeled as such for about 115 years. However, people were like, no, it's too small to be a planet, and it's something not a planet. But it's not a star, it's not anything else. So they decided to call it an asteroid, which means star-like. Astra being star, and roid. So asteroid, star-like. That's where the name comes from. So Sirius is a star-like object, because it's not a star, it's not a planet, it's something in between. However, Sirius did get bumped up a notch from asteroid to dwarf planet, where it now sits. It makes up most of the mass of the asteroid belt, which is actually quite diffuse, along with 2 Pallas and Vesta, or is it? Oh, Pallas and Vesta, one of those two. Either way, interesting locations. Sirius may have liquid water under its crust, possibly, if conditions are right. Nobody knows for sure. It's kind of cool. I like it. Drink some water here. One thing about this microphone I like is I can drink water and you don't hear it, which is nice. At least I don't think you can. If you heard that, I'm sorry. You shouldn't have, though, because I kind of leaned back. This is great. I love it. Anyways, so Sirius. Dawn was here before it ran out of fuel and died, but whatever. I think it's still in orbit, actually. Moving on to Jupiter. I like Jupiter. I like it a lot. Jupiter has a thin ring system, which was discovered by Voyager as it flew by the sun and took a picture kind of like this, where you could see rings, and they were like, oh, Jupiter has rings. I guess that makes sense. Now, Jupiter's exciting because of its various moons, its huge storms, and its fast rotation. Oh, actually, speaking of rotation, Venus rotates very slowly, and not only does it rotate slowly, it actually rotates in the opposite direction of all the other planets. Why does it do this? Nobody really knows. It might have been because of an encounter or collision. Who knows? All I know is that Venus rotates very slowly and in the wrong direction. Where'd it go? What are you? Europa. Well, anyways, there we go. unlike Jupiter, which rotates very quickly in the right direction. Isn't that fascinating? The Great Red Spot on Jupiter has actually been getting smaller as the years go on. It's actually decreased a fair bit. Although it's getting smaller, it's getting stronger. It's kind of like bringing your arms in if you're spinning on ice. Same kind of deal. Jupiter actually originally, pictures taken of it eons ago, and by that I mean only 100 years ago, because it's not that far actually, honestly. Century ago, I should say. Black and white, you can see the storm on Jupiter was actually more of a sausage than like an oval. It was quite long and quite big. Nowadays, it's more of a circle, so it's actually getting smaller, which is unfortunate. Actually, not really. Storms come and go. Neptune had a storm, which disappeared too, so it happens. Out of Jupiter's moons, we have the Galilean moons. We have Io, Europa, Callisto, and Ganymede, which are the four biggest ones, and a crap ton of smaller ones. Everyone likes Europa because obviously it's cool. Ooh, it's Amalthea. I like that. This is Io over here. Io actually is interesting because it's very volcanic. The most volcanic object in the solar system. It has tons of volcanoes. It's always erupting something, usually sulfur. And it also contributes to Jupiter's like face melty radiation belt. And this is interesting because Jupiter's radiation belt is very, very strong. In fact, Jupiter's radiation belt is the kind of radiation belt that moon landing hoaxers think that Earth has. We do not. The Van Allen belts are actually very weak. Jupiter's radiation belt is not. It will literally kill you, and it damages electronics. Ions that Io kick off, like in the sulfur and all that, get swept up in the magnetic field and accelerated and actually help contribute to the radiation belt. Fascinating, isn't it? So Io is actually not only there to look pretty and volcanic, it's actually there to make just the environment worse. Yay! Europa, good place. I like it a lot too. Has a subsurface ocean. We're fairly certain at this point. Might have life. We don't know. Recently, geysers were spotted on the South Pole. They're not shown here, but they were there. So much like Enceladus, it is actually geologically active, which is interesting. Also, the colorations on it, we don't know why it looks like this. It could be rocky material. It could be salts. It might be life. We don't know. We need to go there and find out right away. I say so anyways. I want to. I can't go. What are you? You're Jupiter. Right, I went too far. Ganymede. I think Ganymede is the biggest one. Maybe Callisto. No, I'm pretty sure it's Ganymede. It's also an ice shell moon. We're unsure if it has liquid oceans under its surface. It actually might have multi-layered oceans, where you have an ocean separated by ice layers down to it's like a deep ocean that's around the core. We don't know. This is all speculation. I think this one has a weird magnetic field. Might be Callisto. I get this mixed up a lot, so fact check. Thank you. Speaking of Callisto, it is over here somewhere. That's Europa. Callisto is... That's Io. Callisto is way the hell over here. Callisto's pretty cool. Maybe Callisto's the biggest one. I don't actually remember. Either way, its surface is quite different to the other ones. It actually has impact craters. Now this is important, because Europa doesn't have many impact craters, if any at all. And this is probably because it resurfaces itself, so the ice is fairly new. Callisto has impact craters, a lot of them. This indicates the surface is quite ancient, and that it doesn't resurface itself very often at all. So it probably does not have cryovolcanoes. Carrying on. Saturn. I like Saturn. Big rings, magnetic field, lots of antimatter there. Magnetic field, mind you, antiprotons. Pretty interesting stuff. It has many moons. Enceladus might have life in its oceans. It has water geysers. It's quite small. And it actually has carbon compounds in its water, which is fascinating. Moving out. There's one particular that I really like. Diona, not so much. Tethys, not so much. Where are you? Rhea, no. I should find it. It's easy. No, Hyperion. It's the biggest moon here. I should be able to find it. There you are. Titan. Now, I like Titan. I like Titan a lot. It's one of the only moons that has a thick atmosphere, and it also has liquids on its surface. Liquid hydrocarbons, as a matter of fact, mostly methane, ethane, propane, stuff like that. It's a thoroughly nasty place in terms of atmospheric composition, but it's actually, the pressure is very similar to Earth's. It's very, very cold, but you wouldn't need a pressure suit on its surface. You would just need very warm clothing and oxygen. Titan might have life, we don't know. It might have liquid water also under its surface. A paper written by Chris McKay made the hypothesis that if there is life on Titan, it probably eats hydrogen, and we can find this by looking for hydrogen depletion on the surface. The Huygens probe, while landing, found, yes, there was hydrogen in the upper atmosphere, hydrogen midline, but very little hydrogen on the surface. Does that mean life? We don't know. We'll have to go back and find out. Again, I hope we do. I love Saturn. But we're going to move on. Uranus. My goodness, I'm talking too much. Uranus. Funny name. Flips on its side. Not too much to say about it. It was visited once. I think by Voyager 2. Has lots of moons. Thin rings. I actually don't know too much about it. All I know is that it's very, very cold. It actually is very similar to Neptune. It's an ice giant, which means that it's mostly made of ices and, well, like slushy ices in its gas form. So it's, yeah. Where are actually some of its moons? Miranda is interesting, actually. Miranda and Titanian. Now, Miranda looks like it was ripped apart and patched back together very hastily. Why does it look like this? We don't know, but we suspect that it looks like this because of just that. It might have been ripped apart and patched back together. It might happen. It also has this nice ridge, these nice mountains. It's quite lovely. It is an interesting place. Titania is interesting. We're going to go there. Boot. I think which one of them has like the equatorial ridge. Maybe it's Oberon? This one has ridges too. One of them has an interesting ridge. I don't think it's Umbriel or Ariel. These are also named. These are fun fact named after the fairies from Midsummer Night's Dream. Oberon was the king of the fairies, as a matter of fact. Yes, so you can be a badass dude and a fairy at the same time. Gender roles. Don't let them stop you from following your dreams. Anyways, carrying on. Or maybe it's something around Saturn. I know one of the moons has an interesting ring. I thought it was Miranda, and it might have been Miranda. Who knows? Let's check out Ariel. I haven't gone there like ever. Ooh, actually, I'm gonna have to go back to Saturn because there's some moons there I need to check out too that I forgot about because they're important. Which is why I forgot about them, because I always forget important things. I actually don't know anything about Ariel. I haven't read much about it or done much about it. I just know it exists. Exciting stuff. Yeah, we're actually gonna go back to Saturn quickly because there's one moon I wanted to talk about that's interesting as well. Where are you? Mimas is actually kind of cool because it looks like the Death Star. Haha. No, Iapetus. I like Iapetus. Iapetus was actually the location, or the destination, in 2001: A Space Odyssey, the book. The reason why, when they made the movie, they went to Jupiter instead was because Stanley Kubrick was unhappy with how they simulated Saturn's rings on screen. And he thought, if we're not going to do it properly, we're not going to do it at all. So they chose Jupiter instead of Saturn, just because of that. So yeah, Stanley Kubrick, stickler for details. Iapetus is an interesting place. Very high albedo, very bright, but it has a dark area. Why? I don't know. Rocks, maybe? And I think it's the one that might have the ridge. Actually, I might be correct about this. Someone has a ridge. Actually, it might have been Miranda. Oh yeah, there it is. Aha. See, this is why I had to come back, because this isn't actually important. It's just interesting. But yes, Iapetus has this ridge line that runs down a side of it. Why it does that? It might have been from collisions. Again, Iapetus might have also been ripped apart and patched back together. Fascinating moon. Should we investigate it more? Yes. Carrying on. Let's go to Neptune. Neptune is the furthest out full-size planet. I'm sorry. And as we can see here, it has an outdated texture because this is the storm that was seen by Voyager 2. Or no, yeah, Voyager 2. This storm no longer exists. A new one is forming though. Neptune has the fastest winds in the solar system, traveling upwards of I think like 2,000 kilometers an hour or something like that. It's insane. It also might be one of the best places. Actually, I think Neptune's smaller than Uranus, so Neptune actually might be the best place to harvest helium-3 in the solar system because it has the smallest gravity well of the gas giants. Jupiter, of course, has more, but its gravity well is insane. So don't want to do that. Now then, Triton. I like Triton. I like a lot of these moons, but Triton is a nice moon. Triton orbits in the opposite direction of the other moons in a very elliptical fashion. So they actually think Triton was a captured moon. Triton was probably what Pluto is currently. It was a trans-Neptunian object that got captured, and boom, Neptune. It might have cryoactivity and an ocean. We don't know. So Triton is like Pluto's brother that got stolen by Neptune. Or if we be more internet, Triton was Pluto's girlfriend and Neptune stole her. Then again, Pluto has Charon and his little harem. Speaking of Pluto, we're going to go there because although it might not be a full planet, it's still a dwarf planet, which is a planet nonetheless, and I like it. Pluto. Yeah. Visited in 2015 by New Horizons. It is the newest addition to our... Actually, Ultima Thule is the newest addition to our little planetary family of Discovery. But, yeah. Check it out. Pluto. It has a big heart made of toxic frozen ices, named after Clyde Tombaugh, the guy who discovered Pluto. In fact, Clyde Tombaugh's ashes were on New Horizon, and still are, actually. So, the man who discovered Pluto actually flew to Pluto in powdered form. Alright. Pluto has a moon named Charon, as I'm sure all of you know. Charon is a fascinating place. I wonder if the texture here is actually updated. Because my favorite thing about Charon is, I've been doing a lot of video game stuff, so I'm used to using the different buttons to move around, and they're different than this. Its polar region, up here, is named Mordor. It might not be official. I think it might be official now, but either way, Mordor, because it looks kind of like the map of Mordor, and it's cool. It also has a lot of tholins on in its northern pole. Tholins are organic compounds broken down by usually UV radiation, and they make these weird organic polymers. And for whatever reason, Charon has a bunch on its poles, nowhere really else. Most outer solar system objects are covered in tholins because of the sun. Actually, comets are usually very dark, mind you. People like to think of comets as being bright, shiny balls of ice. No, they're actually blacker than coal. Fun fact, so in Star Trek Enterprise, when they landed on that comet and it was bright white, not accurate at all. I still love that show, though. I love Star Trek. Carrying on. Humeya. Or Humea. Sorry, I was thinking of Oumuamua. But no, this is Humea. Again, high rate of rotation, so it's squashed like an egg. Or more like a discus. In fact, if we speed it up, it rotates very lovely. Now, interestingly enough, if you were to land on the pole here, low gravity, but whatever, you would just be standing there. If you landed on the equator, you might actually be going fast enough that you could actually get to escape velocity just by jumping. That's interesting. Space is interesting. If you say otherwise, well, your opinions are valid, but you're wrong. Make-A-Make. Don't know much about Make-A-Make. I know it exists, and I know that it's out there, and it's kind of cool. Make-A-Make. Carrying on, we're going to Eris. Eris is what killed Pluto. I kid you not. Originally called Sedna, when it was first discovered, they found it, they were like, we found a new planet. It's bigger than Pluto. Well, that's unfortunate. I think new revisions show that Pluto's actually bigger, but regardless, speed up, thank you. Eris is big. It's out there. Well, it's big compared to Pluto and all that. It's still actually quite tiny, but still, boom. It's out there. There are further objects out in the solar system, of course, but they're not here. Eris is kind of cool. Probably looks like a lot like Pluto or Triton. Out of curiosity, where are we? Yeah, it also has a moon, Dysomia, which is nice. Dysonomia. Look, I have a hard time with English language the best of times. Trying to make me speak like other languages, not gonna work. What other objects do we have out here? Frozen ice world. Now, interestingly enough, a lot of these objects out here, which actually this kind of demonstrates, are all lopsided to one side in their orbit. Like a lot of these minor planets. Ooh, what's that? Oh, I remember that. Most of them are lopsided to one side. Some of them go to other ways, but a lot of them their orbits tend to go to one side of the solar system. And this is actually why we think that there might be a Planet 9. Of course, it might not. There could be other shepherding things going on here, but still, this is very compelling. So, that's interesting. Further out, of course, if we go out, actually, close into where Ultima Thule is, which is somewhere out here, the inner Oort cloud begins. Now, the Oort cloud is a huge shell of icy bodies that orbit the sun, and the inner Oort cloud extends close enough that it's kind of like the Kuiper Belt kind of brushes the inside of it. Further out, you kind of find out the the bulk of the Oort cloud, and the Oort cloud actually extends out about actually quite a ways out. Almost 2 light years, actually, is kind of like its outer area. It probably ends officially a bit closer in. But the Oort cloud, yeah, it extends, if you count every body, almost 2 light years out. And that's interesting, because then Alpha Centauri is right there. Now, of course, the bulk of the Oort cloud is closer in, but yeah. So I like to usually say the solar system itself is confined beyond the bow shock, which Voyager passed through, which is somewhere out here. But if you want to talk about the sun's absolute influence for everything, including gravity, anything within 2 light years, you can kind of say if you're liberal about it. But if you want to use the bow shock as a solar system, then that's much further in. Voyager passed through that. It's, I don't know, I guess it's more physical. But the sun's gravity does extend out further. So yeah, 2 light years is kind of our local area. Of course, I say we should go out and usurp Alpha Centauri, Barnard Star, and Wolf 359. Because, well, maybe not Wolf 359 yet, but for sure Alpha Centauri and Barnard Star. And Lumen. Actually, where's Captain Star? Oof, a lot of them. I think it's like 14 light years away. Eridani. Interesting places out here. I can show you where the Vulcan homeworld is. Let's do this, actually. I need to find it. It's 16 light years away. Lumen Star. Oh yeah, that's actually another place I was talking about. We should probably go. Cade. Interesting place. Please, returning. Where are you? This is important. I tell you, Star Trek is important. Oh, it's around here somewhere. I'll find it, I swear. It's like 40 Eridani. Not Epsilon Eridani. Oh, but it's like 16 light years away. It's around here somewhere. Whatever. Either way, yes, stars. They're interesting. I think so. So yeah, Vulcan's somewhere out here in the 16 light year area. Is that it? I know it has different names. No. That's 70 over there. That's a different one. It's like something Eridanus. So that's Eridani. That's 10 light years away. Yeah, Iridian. Eridani. Yeah, that's 10 light years. That's not it. That was originally where Gene Roddenberry wanted it, but they decided to change that. because, I don't know, they just did. Anyways, whatever. Let's just get back to the solar system, shall we? So yes, solar system, fascinating place, full of interesting places. You should visit it sometime. Oh, I have Eridani selected. Let's go back to Sol. I like Sol. Our sun. Interesting place. So yeah, there you go. That was our tour of the solar system. And then a lot of faffing about. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll be back with more stuff later with clear HD audio. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Information below, or ask me questions below. Places to go, things to see. I'll do it. Space?